Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Mike here from AXC Garage. Welcome back to the channel. You guys are new to the channel, make sure you go down there and hit the subscribe button and turn on that notification. And today we have David 2001 Acura Integra Type-R with this JDM front end. There's a lot more to it. Let's take a look. All right, Dave. Hey, man, we got your 2001 Acura Integra Type-R right over here. Before we get started, why a Type-R?
Why not a Type-R to begin with? It's the top of the line Integra line. It got the fastest front wheel production car back in the day when it was brand new. And for your best bang for your buck, this car was $24,000-25,000 brand new. Why not at the time? But unfortunately, I didn't get to buy this car brand new as I wanted to. I always liked the Acura Integra line, and I grew astonished by it and was looking forward to trying to get one in high school senior year. So, and it's a funny story about that. I was on the way to a dealership here in South Florida to go pick up a '98 Championship white Type-R sitting on the showroom floor. Went over there. I got there first with my sister, and we're waiting for my parents to get there. And I'm like, it's taking them a while. What's going on so long? I call them up. They're like, hey, we're just involved in a fender bender. We're around the corner. We'll be right there. My parents was driving a 2001 Lexus at the time, and they
What year was that, David?
2001, exact. So they're driving a 2001 Lexus ES300. They got there. I see no damage on their car. I go, what happened? I go, who even hit you? And what do I see pulling up behind them? A 2001 black Integra Type-R with both fenders crushed, and the guy just had diarrhea at the mouth talking about how great the car was and how fast it was. And you know, I had that mother that was, you know, a little cautious on the safe side and was like, this car's too fast. Look how it buckled, the fenders just crushed, which, you know, the Integra was meant to do that in case it got into a fender bender. It just looked worse than what it was. And the sales guy at the Acura dealership downplayed the Integra Type-R, said, you know what, let's just go into a little bit of a slower car and safer, and put me in a 2001 Integra GSR.
What color was that?
It was actually silver with black interior.
Okay, so that was your high school year?
That was my senior year of high school. I got my first car. I was excited about it. And you know, Fast and Furious came out. We're all doing some sort of modification. You know, whether you had a rammer intake or a fire extinguisher somewhere in the car, because it's the early 2000s, but I had those days too as everyone else back in the day.
So fast forward, that was 2001, and fast forward to when did you buy this car?
So I got this car April 1st of 2005, but
so 4 years later.
4 years later, I had a little bit of a mission to get to this car. I was on the hunt for a year, and 2004, 2005, looking for an Acura Integra Type-R. And at that time, they're still rarely new, still pricey, and able to find somewhat still. So I went looking around. I was gung-ho about I want a black Integra Type-R, and I had to be JDM front. Couldn't find one locally, couldn't find one anywhere that was reasonable price. Found a '98 Type-R Championship white, which I fell in love with again. I love the white ones, in Tampa. I went to go look at it. It wasn't up to par as the guy made it sound. It needed a lot of TLC on it, and I got really discouraged. I came back down. I gave up on my hunt that same day, and I was working at a Volkswagen dealership, and I was going to lease me a 2004 Volkswagen GLI, and those were cool back in the day. They had the Recaros, BBS rims, and Brembo brakes, little turbo car. Just for a little daily, I'd be like, hey, it's fine. And my friend Javi, he's like, oh, you're serious about buying an Integra Type-R? I said, what do you think I've been doing this whole time? I've been doing research on Auto Trader and all this stuff. He's like going out of town looking for his car. He goes, oh, there's one selling in my neighborhood. And it happened to be locally in our backyard right here in South Florida. I went there, car was sitting on the driveway with a for sale sign, and it belonged to an older gentleman, 100% stock. And he would take it out of the garage with a for sale sign, leave it there, and then put it back in the garage at night because of the whole high def at the time. And I went there, fell in love with the car, went for a test drive, left a deposit, and that Friday I came back and bought the car.
All right, Dave, so you got the car at 950 miles. How long were you able to keep the car stock?
Not that long. Within the first year, I put intake headers exhaust on the B18C5 motor that came with it. I did the VTEC controller version 1, the blue one, if everyone remembers that back in the day. And after that, went through the chip P28 and started messing around with the tune, got a little bit more into it, got as much power as I could with that. And then I started going even deeper more. And I started adding cams, head package, and eventually I ended up with a fully built B18C5 motor. Pistons, rods, cams, ported head, all the good stuff. Eventually that motor wasn't as healthy as I thought it would be. It kind of went kaboom and rebuilt it again. I wasn't happy with it. I said, you know what? I'm tired of the whole fully built motor. Let's just go with something stock. And I went with another route. Instead of just getting a stock JDM 98 B18C motor, I went with a K20A motor. And when I did that, as I told you, JDM front was always my ideal car. I went with an OEM 98 JDM front Integra Type-R.
All right, David, this is the time to talk about under the hood, which is what, K20A?
This is a K20 JDM DC5 Integra Type-R motor, straight out of Japan. Put this swap together back in 2008, and I think seeing it shows 2008 definitely is in this engine bay.
Yeah, there's some really old stuff going on in here. It's been my goal to bring David's car up to date,
John, that's pretty harsh right there.
Listen, it's beautiful, it runs great. I love driving this car, but it, like David said, it shows its age. I mean, there's certain things on here that are not what we would do now. I mean, like, I don't even know if you can buy this fuel rail anymore. There's the stainless steel fuel lines. Everything now is more of a braided cloth one, so it doesn't conduct electricity if something shorts. Just a few things that, like David said, this bay was painted in front of his mom's house when he lived at his mom's house. I think your buddy Javi came.
Yeah, Javi painted the engine bay. We dropped the swap, painted the engine bay, because when I first did the K-swap, I just wanted to get the motor in, and when I tell you it was really ugly in here, it was even uglier than it was before, because I didn't even primer, I didn't shave nothing. When you take off that training mount on the B series,
yeah,
I left it there, pure metal rusting away, and dropped the swap, and we repainted the whole bay.
These are the hoses that were on here. It's the EP3 radiator for the swap. I mean, my man's got zip ties holding things together. So some of what we're doing on this series with this car is bringing some of these things up to date, refreshing some of the older stuff, bringing it into this decade. Not the decade when you put in. Not that you did a bad job. It works good. The car runs great.
I mean,
AC works.
Say, back in 2008, gotta be a pretty tough swap to do,
yeah,
because all the availability on parts probably not available at that time.
Yeah, I mean, these are the first gen Hasport mounts. The new ones have multiple mounting holes. All of this stuff is first generation swap stuff, and and it shows, because now in this modern day when there's so much more stuff and everything's more perfected, it cleans it up a little bit and it just works a little bit better. So that's some of the stuff we're going to be doing. I think we're going to be going ahead and replacing the radiator, new cooling fans. We're going to have this intake manifold's going to be gone.
Hold on. So I don't think we have talked about this yet, but what are we doing?
Well, I mean, I'll let David tell you about that.
So on this series of the AHC garage build of the Integra Type-R, we're doing not only just a refresher of bringing it up to modern date, as John said, of this decade, but we're also going to go for some performance as well. And we're going to squeeze this K20 motor and throw Jackson Racing Supercharger on it.
Ooh, more power.
So what does Jackson Supercharger consist of?
So on this car, because B Series, they have a little bit different setup. It's pretty much similar, but everything's a little bit more flipped around. The setup that we picked up for the car, we did get it locally, and you know, so it was already on a car, and we know how it mounts up. What it does is it replaces the intake manifold with a Jackson Racing manifold that holds the supercharger mounted up top here. You've probably seen some pictures of it. It's going to look really good when we have it all together. And also this one, the nice bit of it is it has a intercooler for it, heat exchanger, if you will, that mounts inside the manifold. We're going to have to mount a heat exchanger up in the front, put a little tank, but the idea is to get the most performance out of the supercharger possible and push it. And the good thing about a supercharger, it's unlike a turbo, is you don't sacrifice certain things that go with it. And the nice thing about this supercharger is your power is linear through the power band. It's not like a turbocharger where it comes in and hits its boost and you carry that boost. You're building horsepower as you're building RPMs. So you have a really strong power band. Almost feels like a strong all-motor car.
Now, Dave, aside from a supercharger, what else are we doing?
So we're gonna put it like, we're putting newer parts, new radiator, we're gonna redo the fuel line, we are upgrading the injectors. We're looking to do a flex fuel setup now, because this car has been tuned on 93 octane only and has only been 93 its whole life. And just going with that route, type of maintenance we gotta do is we gotta fix the air conditioning. We have a little bit of a leak that just happened recently, and probably clean up the lines, make this bay look 100% a lot better now.
Oh yeah, it will be nice.
All right, guys, so here's a supercharger kit that we just got for Dave DC2 Type-R. Now, Dave, the kit isn't brand new, right? How is it a used kit?
Yes, it's not a brand new kit. I did buy it used. I found it on one of the Facebook forums on the marketplace. Great place to buy things, you know, used or new, depending. And found it locally in South Florida, and I bought this kit used. It came with a couple extra goodies that made it stand out to me. It came with this this aftercore cooler right here. So that was always a positive. Helps keep the supercharger cool because they always get heat soaked if you know about them.
Now, the supercharger kit, so this is water cooled or this is air cooled?
This is going to be water cooled. So these two hoses go into a system that flushes through a motor, an electronic motor that you can run either water or coolant, and it has a small intercooler in the front of the bumper by the condenser. So it all goes through the air system and the motor, and goes into here to keep the supercharger cool.
So in and out.
Correct.
Okay, and this sit inside, I'm assuming the intake manifold here.
Correct.
Can you hold that for me, Dave, real quick? I'm gonna show everybody the setup here. So this sit right in here, just like so.
Just like that.
Wow, that's a pretty neat setup right there.
It's actually pretty nice because it keeps it really cool down, the temperatures, because once these superchargers get heat soaked, they start losing so much power.
And now in terms of the intake manifold, this should bolt right up to the K20 cylinder head, right?
Yes, it'll bolt up right up to a K20A cylinder head.
And what else we have here? What is this? This is the actuator here.
This is
also the map, right?
Yeah, that's for the map. This is the actuator for the boost. Helps it click in. I forgot where it's at. So to test the system to make sure this works, I would take this off, put a system onto it that puts air into it, and you'll see that it's going to create a pressure. This right here will move, creating the boost pressure that you would have as if the supercharger is going on.
Now over here we have the actual root type supercharger. Who makes this supercharger? I know it's a Jackson Racing supercharger. Who makes it?
This is a Jackson Racing Supercharger. It's an M62 model. Jackson Racing was famous back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember them, for making all types of superchargers for many cars. Unfortunately, they went out of business. But they are really great parts, Supercharger, and been a fan of them since.
Now, I do see that you do have a humongous throttle body here, 90 millimeter, right?
Yes, this is a 90 mil throttle body. I figured get as much air as you can into this little baby right here and let it do its job.
Now, you mentioned you bought the Supercharger. Was it on the car or is it already off the vehicle?
So the person had the Supercharger on the vehicle. He was on and off about selling it. Kind of talked to him and convinced him like, hey, I'm really interested in it. You know, if you ever comes to your mind, let me know. He finally hit me up on the marketplace, said, hey, I'm gonna put it up. If you're interested, you got first dibs. I went to his house, still in the car, went for a test drive. It felt amazing, boost, everything. Fun little car to drive. And literally we took it off in 30 minutes. Real simple takeoff. He didn't have any of the cooler stuff on the Supercharger. It was straight direct onto the motor.
So I guess today, before ending this video, we want to definitely get this Supercharger taken apart because we want to get this powder coat to a different color because you're not really, you know, a fan of this color here.
I'm not a fan of this color. I was on the fence about it. I was like, just throw it on. Who cares? It's the color. A couple of my friends, Brent being one of them, who kept pushing me, change the color because it will not match your car at all. And had a group vote with the HC members, and we all came on board and said, hey, man, change the color.
So what color are we doing?
We're in between black and silver. I think black would be good.
Talking about black, the whole thing black or black with silver insert just like here?
The whole thing black.
Ooh.
The whole thing black.
Very stealth, huh?
Yeah, very stealth, you know, kind of like, you know, incognito. Maybe some people want to leave us a comment, say what color they recommend.
Yeah, definitely drop a comment below and let us know what you think. So we'll go ahead and take apart the Supercharger here. Before this, we have already drained the fluid right over here. Next up, we're gonna remove these throttle body, this gigantic throttle body here, and then step by step to get this Supercharger completely taken apart. All right, so we just removed the throttle body, and notice we have a bit of a restriction here between the inlet for the Supercharger and also this adapter plate. David, tell me more.
So as you can tell, this inlet is right here, causing a lot of restriction for a lot of air to flow through.
Do they sell this inlet or we have to port this one out?
So there's a couple options you could do. So there's people out there that will port this inlet out to match your throttle body. And you know, I've always done that with the RBCs and this and that, always port match this and that. But I think what I want to do is look at different companies. I have heard of Merc Racing. I've heard a lot of good things about them. And they sell a complete inlet that kind of gets rid of this bottleneck. It's more of a direct with the throttle body.
Wow,
and it fits 90 exact.
Yeah, that'll be real nice if you can get that, huh? Because to port it, I mean, you've still not going to get the flow, you know?
I think porting might not get the flow. And it's still going to kind of like the way this neck goes. I'm not a big fan of it, so I'm gonna do some more homework and research, and we'll see which will be the best for our build.
All right, so with the inlet taken apart, we noticed something a little odd right over here. You got a lot of wear on these blades here, huh, David?
Yeah, it's kind of, you can feel it with your fingernail.
That's pretty deep, man. It's not good.
Looks a little scorned. But we're gonna keep taking it apart more and see what else is going on then. So Mike just took apart the Supercharger for me, and me and TJ here, we kind of knows a couple things going on with this Jack's Racing Supercharger right now.
Yeah, like for example, there's a bunch of metal transfer from the rotors here to the casing. So you can see down there, that's not too good. Probably happened from overheating or overrunning it.
But that's a pretty heavy wear
Oh yeah.
on both. Wow. What about the blades?
They're supposed to be coated with some kind of like heat coating. Like you can see here how it's kind of gray, and then you see it starting to like chip off. So a lot of the coating is pretty much off of there already. So that's not too good either. And I'm pretty sure this extra silicone here shouldn't be there either. But you know, that's what happens.
Looks like somebody taking this apart, huh?
Oh yeah. Took it apart and didn't really know how to put it back together.
Yeah. So I guess the next step, I mean, for us, I mean, we have no choice but to send this out.
Yeah, I mean, we came in here looking just to paint it and take it apart. We're gonna paint it still, but now we're gonna rebuild it, and it'll be a brand new Supercharger at the end of the day now, and no headaches now.
Well guys, there you have it. You guys check out David, 2001 Acura Integra Type-R with a JDM front end K20 swap. And also a bit of a bad news for us on the Supercharger. The good thing is we're gonna send this out, get it completely rebuilt. You definitely don't wanna miss our next episode. We'll be getting a Supercharger back and also doing the installation. And you guys like what you see, make sure you go down there, subscribe to our channel, and also turn on that notification. My name is Mike, and I got Dave right over here. On behalf of AXC Garage, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.